Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something today that can truly change your life if you let it sink into your spirit. 2026 is not just another year on the calendar. It is an opportunity. It is a fresh start. It is a chance for you to stop surviving and finally start living the life you know you were created for. But understand this clearly. Nothing changes just because the year changes. Your life only changes when you do. See, most people want a better life, but they don't want to become a better version of themselves. You can't keep doing the same things, thinking the same way, hanging around the same energy, and expect a different result. That's not how success works. If you want 2026 to be different, you have to be different. Ladies and gentlemen, let me talk to you about the most powerful decision you will ever make in your life, and that is the decision to take full responsibility for where you are and where you are going. Most people never change their lives because they are too busy explaining why they can't. They blame their past, their parents, their circumstances, the economy, bad luck, or the people who hurt them. But the truth is this: the moment you take responsibility for your life is the moment you take back control. Until then, you are living as a victim of your situation instead of the owner of your future. See, responsibility doesn't mean everything that happened to you is your fault. Some things were unfair. Some things hurt. Some things you didn't deserve. But responsibility means you stop letting those things define your tomorrow. You can't change what happened, but you can absolutely change what happens next. As long as you keep pointing fingers, your life stays stuck. When you start pointing inward and saying, "What can I do differently?" that's when growth begins. A lot of people want change, but they don't want accountability. They want better results without better habits. They want success without sacrifice. But life doesn't work like that. Every level of success requires a higher level of responsibility. If you want more money, more peace, more confidence, more freedom, you have to become the kind of person who can handle it. And becoming that person starts with owning your choices. Your life today is the result of decisions you made yesterday. That's not an insult, that's empowerment. Because if your decisions created this life, your decisions can create a better one. You are not stuck. You are not powerless. You are one decision away from a completely different direction. But you have to be honest with yourself. Are your daily choices matching the life you say you want? If not, it's not bad luck holding you back. It's behavior. Taking responsibility also means stopping the excuses. Excuses feel good in the moment, but they cost you your future. Every excuse you make gives your power away. When you say, "I don't have time," what you're really saying is, it's not a priority. When you say, "I can't," what you're really saying is, "I'm afraid." When you say, "This is just how I am," what you're really saying is, "I've decided not to grow." Growth begins when excuses end. Now let me tell you something important. Responsibility is heavy. It's uncomfortable. It forces you to look in the mirror instead of out the window. But that weight is also what builds strength. When you carry responsibility, you build character. You build confidence. You build self-respect. There is nothing more powerful than knowing that no matter what happens, you have the ability to respond, adjust, and keep moving forward. When you take responsibility, you stop waiting on people to save you. You stop waiting on permission. You stop waiting on the perfect moment. You realize that nobody is coming, and that's not depressing, that's freeing. Because it means your life is in your hands. You don't need approval to start changing. You don't need validation to grow. You don't need applause to improve. You just need commitment. Responsibility also means choosing discipline over comfort. Comfort keeps you the same. Discipline changes your life. You don't wake up one day successful. You wake up one day disciplined enough that success has no choice but to show up every time you choose to do what's hard instead of what's easy. You are taking responsibility for your future self, and your future self will thank you. Let me be clear with you. Taking responsibility doesn't guarantee immediate success. You might do everything right and still struggle. You might make better choices and still face setbacks. But when you take responsibility, failure no longer defeats you. It teaches you. It sharpens you. It prepares you. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what is this trying to teach me? That shift alone can change your entire life. Ladies and gentlemen, responsibility is not a punishment. It's a privilege. It means you are strong enough to carry your own life forward. It means you are capable of change. It means your future is not locked by your past. The moment you stop blaming and start owning is the moment your life begins to rise. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something about discipline, because discipline is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Most people spend their lives waiting to feel motivated, waiting for the right mood, the right moment, or the right circumstances. But motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes. Discipline is what shows up every day, whether you feel like it or not. If you are serious about changing your life in 2026, you must stop depending on how you feel and start depending on what you have decided. See, discipline is not about punishment. It's about commitment. It's about doing what needs to be done even when nobody is watching, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's boring. People don't fail because they lack talent or opportunity. They fail because they lack consistency. Success is built in the small, unseen moments when you choose effort over excuses. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you strengthen your self-belief. Every time you break it, you weaken it. The truth is, the life you want requires a version of you that shows up daily, not occasionally, not when it's convenient, daily. You don't become successful by making one big move. You become successful by making small, smart decisions repeatedly. Discipline is choosing long-term rewards over short-term comfort. It's waking up early when your bed feels good. It's saying no to distractions when your goals need focus. It's choosing growth even when comfort is calling your name. A lot of people think discipline means living a restricted life, but it's actually the opposite. Discipline creates freedom. When you discipline your time, you gain more of it. When you discipline your money, you gain peace. When you discipline your habits, you gain confidence. An undisciplined life may feel free in the moment, but it leads to stress, regret, and limitation. Life may feel hard at first, but it leads to freedom, pride, and opportunity. Let me say this clearly, discipline is learned. I'm not talking about by practicing it. You start small. You don't try to change everything overnight. You choose one habit and you commit to it. You show up every day even when progress feels slow, especially when progress feels slow. Because slow progress is still progress, and consistency will always beat intensity in the long run. Discipline also requires structure. If you don't plan your day will plan you. And trust me, the world will gladly fill your time with distractions that do nothing for your future. Social media, entertainment, excuses, and comfort will happily steal your potential if you let them. Discipline means deciding in advance how your time will be used. When your goals are clear, your daily choices become easier. Now understand this, discipline will test you. There will be days you want to quit. There will be days you feel tired, unmotivated, and frustrated. That's not a sign to stop. That's a sign you're growing. Most people quit right before the breakthrough. They mistake resistance for failure. But resistance is proof that you're doing something that matters. If it were easy, everybody would be living their dream life. Discipline also builds confidence. Confidence doesn't come from talking, it comes from doing. When you consistently do what you said you would do, you begin to trust yourself. And when you trust yourself, you stop needing validation from others. You stop waiting for approval. You move differently. You speak differently. You carry yourself with quiet confidence because you know the work is being done. Let me be honest with you. Discipline will cost you some things. It may cost you late nights. It may cost you certain friendships. It may cost you comfort. But what it gives you in return is far greater. It gives you self-respect. It gives you growth. It gives you a future that looks nothing like your past. Everything you admire in other people is the result of discipline you don't see. Ladies and gentlemen, if you can master discipline in 2026, you can master your life. Not because discipline makes life easy, but because it makes you strong enough to handle whatever comes your way. Every discipline decision you make today is a gift to the person you are becoming tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, let me talk to you about mindset, because before you ever change your life on the outside, you must change the way you think on the inside. Your mindset is the lens through which you see the world, and that lens determines what you believe is possible for you. Many people are living far below their potential, not because they lack ability, but because they lack belief. They have been thinking the same way for years, and those thoughts have quietly built the limits of their lives. See, if you wake up every day believing you are not enough, that life is unfair to you, that success is for other people, you will subconsciously make decisions that confirm those beliefs. You will avoid opportunities. You will settle for less. You will stop trying too soon, not because you can't do more, but because your mind has already decided the outcome. You cannot outperform the picture you hold of yourself in your own mind. Your thoughts become your words. Your words become your actions. And your actions become your results. That's why mindset is not just positive thinking, it's intentional thinking. It's choosing what you allow to live in your head. If you constantly replay failure, fear, and doubt, you are training your mind to expect defeat. But if you intentionally feed your mind with growth, learning, faith, and possibility, your life begins to shift from the inside out. Let me tell you something important. The mind believes what you tell it most often. If you keep saying, I can't, I'm not ready, I always fail, your mind accepts that as truth and works to prove you right. But when you start saying, I'm learning, I may not be there yet, but I'm on my way, your mind starts looking for ways to support that new story. Words are seeds. Whatever you plant consistently will grow. Changing your mindset also means changing how you interpret challenges. Most people see obstacles as signs to stop. A strong mindset sees obstacles as signs to adapt. Life is not happening to you, it is responding to you. Every setback carries a lesson. Every delay carries preparation. And every struggle carries growth, if you are willing to see it that way. When you shift from asking, why is this happening to me? To what is this teaching me? You reclaim control over your experience. Another part of mindset is identity. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your identity. If you see yourself as undisciplined, unlucky, or average, you will live in alignment with that identity no matter what goals you set. Real change happens when you decide who you are becoming. When you say, I am the kind of person who shows up, your behavior slowly begins to match that belief. Identity drives behavior far more than motivation ever will. You also have to be careful about what you consume mentally. What you watch, listen to, and surround yourself with shapes your thinking. If you are constantly feeding your mind negativity, drama, and doubt, don't be surprised when your life feels heavy. Your environment is either strengthening your mindset or weakening it. Protect your mind the same way you protect your body. Not everything deserves your attention. Let me say this clearly, changing your mindset does not mean ignoring reality. It means facing reality with belief instead of fear. It means acknowledging where you are without allowing it to define where you're going. A strong mindset says, this is hard, but I can handle it. It says, I don't have all the answers yet, but I'm willing to learn. That willingness alone can separate a stagnant life from a growing one. Mindset also determines how long you persist. Most people quit not because the goal is impossible, but because the process is uncomfortable. A strong mindset understands that discomfort is temporary, but quitting creates permanent regret. When your mind is trained for growth, you stop looking for shortcuts and start respecting the process. You become patient with yourself while remaining committed to progress. Ladies and gentlemen, when you change your mindset, you change the rules of your life. You stop being controlled by circumstances and start being guided by purpose. The world doesn't decide your worth. Your past doesn't decide your future. Your mindset does. Ladies and gentlemen, let me speak to you about fear, excuses, and the past, because these three things have stopped more dreams than failure ever could. Fear doesn't shout, it whispers. It tells you you're not ready, that now is not the right time, that someone else is better than you. And because it sounds reasonable, most people listen to it. They mistake fear for logic and comfort, for safety, and slowly, without realizing it, they build a life smaller than the one they were meant to live. Fear is not a sign that you are incapable. Fear is a sign that what you are about to do matters. Every meaningful step forward will come with discomfort. If you wait until fear disappears, you will wait forever. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is deciding that your future is more important than your comfort. The people you admire didn't feel less fear than you do. They simply refused to let fear make their decisions. Excuses work the same way. They protect your ego, but they destroy your potential. An excuse gives you a reason to stay the same while pretending you had no choice. You say you don't have time, but you find time for things that don't move your life forward. You say you don't have resources, but you don't fully use what you already have. You say you'll start when you're ready, but readiness comes from starting, not waiting. Excuses feel like relief, but they quietly steal your future. Letting go of excuses requires honesty. Real, uncomfortable honesty. It means admitting that sometimes you choose comfort over growth. It means admitting that fear has been in charge longer than you'd like to admit. But the moment you become honest with yourself is the moment you regain control. You can't fix what you won't face. Growth begins when excuses end. Now let me talk to you about the past. Some of you are still living there. You're dragging old mistakes, old failures, old betrayals into every new opportunity. You keep reminding yourself of who you used to be instead of focusing on who you are becoming. The past is a place of reference, not residence. You are supposed to learn from it, not live in it. Holding on to the past feels familiar, even when it hurts. Pain you know feels safer than uncertainty you don't. But every time you replay old stories, you reopen old wounds. You give power to moments that no longer deserve control over your life. What happened to you may have shaped you, but it does not have to define you. You are not your worst mistake. You are not your biggest failure. You are not what someone else did to you. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It means forgiving yourself for not knowing then what you know now. It means releasing the belief that your past disqualifies you from a better future. Growth requires space, and you cannot grow if your hands are full of yesterday's pain. To move forward, you must be willing to put some things down. Fear, excuses, and the past are deeply connected. Fear tells you you'll fail again. Excuses give you a reason not to try. The past reminds you of when things didn't work out. Together, they form a cycle that keeps people stuck. Breaking that cycle requires a decision to act even when you're scared, a decision to take responsibility instead of making excuses, a decision to believe that your future can be better than your past. Let me be clear with you. You don't need to be fearless to move forward. You need to be faithful. Faith that effort matters. Faith that growth is possible. Faith that you are not finished yet. The greatest tragedy is not failure. It is regret. Regret comes from knowing you could have tried but chose not to. Fear may make you uncomfortable, but regret will haunt you. Life rewards action, not intention. You can't think your way into a better life. You have to walk your way into it. Small steps taken consistently will always outperform perfect plans that never begin. Every time you act despite fear, you weaken its grip. Every time you tell the truth instead of making excuses, you grow stronger. Every time you release the past, you create room for something new. Ladies and gentlemen, the life you want is not blocked by a lack of ability. It is blocked by fear you haven't faced, excuses you haven't dropped, and a past you haven't released. The moment you decide to stop carrying what no longer serves you is the moment your life begins to move forward. Ladies and gentlemen, let me talk to you about goals and action, because wishing for a better life without a plan is one of the most common traps people fall into. Hope is powerful, but hope without direction leads nowhere. You can pray, dream, and visualize all day long, but if you don't move your feet, your life will stay exactly where it is. A better future is not created by intention alone. It is created by deliberate, consistent action. Most people say they have goals, but what they really have are vague desires. They want to be successful, happy, or financially free, but they haven't defined what those words actually mean for them. When your goals are unclear, your actions become weak. Clarity creates focus, and focus creates momentum. You must know what you are working toward, or you will drift wherever life pushes you. Writing your goals down is not a motivational trick. It is a declaration. It tells your mind that this matters. When you see your goals in front of you, they stop being fantasies and start becoming instructions. A written goal gives your day a purpose. It helps you decide what to say yes to, and more importantly, what to say no to. Every distraction becomes easier to avoid when your direction is clear. But goals alone are not enough. Action is what separates dreamers from doers. You don't need massive action, you need consistent action. Small steps taken every day will always outperform big steps taken once in a while. Progress compounds. What feels insignificant today becomes powerful over time. The problem is that most people quit because the early results are invisible. They forget that roots grow underground before anything shows above the surface. Taking action also builds confidence. Confidence does not come before action. It comes because of action. You don't wait until you feel ready. Readiness is a result of movement. Each step forward teaches you something, even the mistakes, especially the mistakes. Failure is not the opposite of success, it is part of it. Every misstep carries information that makes the next attempt stronger. Another mistake people make is waiting for perfect conditions. There will never be a perfect time. There will always be uncertainty, risk, and discomfort. If you wait until everything feels safe, you will never move. Progress favors those who start before they feel fully prepared. Action creates clarity. Once you begin, the path reveals itself step by step. Goals also require deadlines. A goal without a deadline is just a wish. Deadlines create urgency, and urgency creates discipline. When you give yourself endless time, you give yourself endless excuses. Time pressure forces you to prioritize what truly matters. It exposes what you really want versus what you merely talk about. Consistency is where most people struggle. They start strong and fade quickly. Real growth happens when excitement is gone and commitment remains. Consistency means showing up on ordinary days, not just inspired ones. It means working when no one is clapping. When progress feels slow, when results are delayed, those moments are where lives are actually built. You also have to be willing to adjust your plan without abandoning your goal. Flexibility is not weakness, it is wisdom. The path may change, but the destination can remain the same. Many people quit too early because the first plan didn't work. Successful people understand that success is often a series of adjustments, not one perfect strategy. Let me tell you something important. Action reveals who you truly are. It exposes your priorities, your discipline, and your belief in yourself. You can't fake action. You either do the work or you don't. And every day you take action, even imperfect action, you are voting for the person you are becoming. Ladies and gentlemen, your future is built one decision at a time. Every action you take today, either moving you closer to the life you want or keeping you exactly where you are. The difference between an average life and an extraordinary one is not talent or luck. It is the willingness to act consistently on clear goals, even when it's uncomfortable. Ladies and gentlemen, let me speak to you about trust, timing, and the process, because this is where most people lose hope and give up too soon. People want instant results. They want quick breakthroughs, fast success, and overnight change. But life doesn't work on your schedule. Growth happens in seasons. And if you don't understand that, you will quit during the very season that is shaping you for what you asked for. Trust is not passive. Trust is active belief in the middle of uncertainty. It's continuing to show up when results are delayed. It's doing the right thing even when nothing seems to be working. Many people say they trust God, but they stop working the moment things get hard. Real trust says, I don't see it yet, but I believe it's happening. You don't always get signs before the breakthrough. Sometimes you get silence, and silence is a test of faith. Timing is everything. Some things you want right now would destroy you if you receive them too early. You may think you're being denied, but often you're being prepared. Preparation takes time. Character takes time. Wisdom takes time. If you skip the process, you may reach the destination, but you won't be able to stay there. God is not just interested in where you're going. He's interested in who you become on the way. The process is uncomfortable. It stretches you. It exposes your weaknesses. It forces you to grow beyond what feels familiar. This is the stage where you feel unseen, unheard, and unsure. Yeah, but no one is noticing. You're improving, but nothing has changed yet. This is where most people quit. They mistake quiet seasons for wasted seasons. Nothing is wasted when you're growing. Every delay has a purpose. Every setback has a lesson. Every closed door is redirecting you away from something that no longer serves you. When things don't work out the way you planned, it doesn't mean you failed. It means your plan needed adjustment. Sometimes what you lose is not a loss, it's a release. You can't receive what's if your hands are full of what's old. Trusting the process also means surrendering control. You do your part, and you let God do His. Your job is effort, discipline, and faith. His job is timing, alignment, and opportunity. When you try to control everything, you create anxiety. When you trust the process, you create peace. Peace doesn't mean everything is perfect. It means you believe everything is working together, even when it doesn't make sense. Let me tell you something real. The process will test your patience. You'll question yourself. You'll question your path. You'll even question your purpose. That doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're human. I'm not talking about patience, because patience builds strength. If everything came easily, you wouldn't value it. The things you work hardest for are the things you protect the most. There will be moments when you feel like you're falling behind. Social media will show you people winning while you're still waiting. But comparison is dangerous. You don't know their process and they don't know yours. Stay in your lane. Your timing is not wrong just because it's different. What's meant for you will arrive when you're ready to handle it. Trust also means believing that your efforts matter even when results are invisible. Seeds grow underground before they ever break the surface. Just because you can't see progress doesn't mean progress isn't happening. Every disciplined day, every faithful step, every moment you choose not to quit is building something you will one day be grateful for. The process shapes your confidence. When you survive hard seasons, you stop fearing them. You realize that you are stronger than you thought. You learn that setbacks don't break you, they refine you. You stop panicking every time things slow down because you understand that slowing down is sometimes necessary for direction. God's timing is never late. It's precise. When the opportunity arrives, it will make sense why it didn't happen sooner. You'll see that every delay protected you, every struggle trained you, and every tear prepared you. But you won't see that clearly while you're in it. That's why trust is required before understanding. Ladies and gentlemen, the process is not your enemy. It is your teacher. It is shaping your character, strengthening your faith, and aligning your life for something greater than you imagined. If you can learn to trust while you wait, to work while you wait, and to grow while you wait, you will discover that waiting was never